My parents didn't always fight. As far back as I can remember, we were a happy family. I remember my half-siblings visiting often when I was younger, even though they lived with my father's family most of the time. My bond with them was always strong, maybe even stronger than with my own parents. Not that my parents were bad people, but they were always busy with work or focused on my younger brother. I never held it against them. I was never the kind of child to openly ask for attention or demand more than what was given. I was an introvert, always had been. But when I was with my older siblings, I felt seen in a way I didn't at home, especially after the arguments started between my parents. At first, I tried to intervene to calm them down, to find some way to fix things. It did nothing. If anything, it only made things worse. More fights, more anger, and sometimes a slap across the face if I spoke out of turn. Now, with the divorce finalized, I was moving in with my half-sister Casey and her husband Phil. My parents said it was to give them space to adjust, but I knew the truth. They didn't want me caught in the crossfire any longer. I was glad for the escape. The last few months had been hell. In just a few weeks, I'd turn 18, and until then, Casey would be my legal guardian. Maeve, are you coming? Casey will be here soon. My mother's voice carried up the stairs, sharp with impatience. Not wanting to provoke another argument, I grabbed my remaining things and headed downstairs. I had already said goodbye to my father the night before. There was no point in pretending our family still operated like it used to. These days, the only time my parents spoke was through lawyers or in court, arguing over custody of my younger brother. As for me, I was a footnote, nearly an adult, and no longer worth fighting over. By the time they settled anything, I'd already be 18. At the bottom of the stairs, my mother gave me a once-over, as if checking to make sure I had everything. Before she could say anything, I stepped forward and gently hugged my little brother, who was nestled in her arms. Then, after a brief hesitation, I hugged her too. The last few months had been rough, but she was still my mother. Before I could find the words to say goodbye, a car honked outside. Casey was here. I turned toward the door just as my sister and her husband stepped inside. "Hey, honey." Casey greeted, her voice warm but quick, as always. "Do you have everything? Your clothes and school supplies are already in your new room." "Oh." "And Phil agreed to take you to the mall on Monday to pick up anything else you might need." Phil and I exchanged a glance and shared a quiet laugh. "Thanks, but I think I have everything." I have. Without hesitation, Phil reached for the box in my arms. I didn't argue. I was more than happy to let him take it, my arms aching from holding it for so long. I smiled up at him in thanks, having to tilt my head back to meet his gaze. I definitely hadn't inherited my father's height. With one final goodbye, we stepped outside. I slid into the back seat of the car, letting my bag drop onto the seat beside me. Casey and Phil got into the front, and within minutes we were on the main road, leaving behind the house that had never really felt like home. I hadn't realized how heavy everything had been until now. The weight of it all, the tension, the fights, the exhaustion, eased with each mile we put between us and my old life. Casey's voice pulled me from my thoughts, gentle but concerned. "Are you okay?" I blinked at her, confused. "Yeah." "Why?" "Darling," Phil said, his voice softer than usual, "you're crying." I raised a hand to my cheek, only now noticing the wetness there. I hadn't even realized. "Oh." I swallowed hard. "It's not." I hesitated, then exhaled. "It's not sadness. It's relief." Casey and Phil exchanged a glance, but neither pressed me further. For that, I was grateful. "I think I'm just going to sleep for a bit," I murmured. Without another word, I leaned my head against the window, closing my eyes as exhaustion finally caught up with me. Whatever my future held, at least I knew I was finally leaving the past behind.